How's it going, guys? Julian Bradley here, and in today's video I'm going to share with you a 5-day practice plan which you can use to learn jazz piano improvisation. Each day I'm going to give you a new exercise which is going to target one specific improvisation skill. Now in the left hand we're just going to use the same chord progression, which is going to be the 2-5-1 in C major, but of course you could take any chord progression and practice the same techniques over that. So with that said, we're going to get straight in. Here is tip number 1. So today's improvisation tip is to focus on using the chord tones in your solos. That means to take the root, 3rd, 5th and 7th of each chord, sometimes the 9th as well, and to just write lines which use just these 4 or 5 notes. So over D minor 7, chord tones, over G dominant 7, come back down, and over C major 7, and go back up. Okay, so today's improvisation tip is to use the half step below approach pattern, and that is where you take any target note, usually the chord tones, we'll start with those. So on a D minor 7, we can target any of the root, 3rd, 5th and 7th. We can precede them with a half step below. So we can precede D with a C sharp, we can precede F with an E, we can precede A with a G sharp, and C with a B. We can do that for all 3 chords in a 2-5-1. G dominant 7, I can precede the chord tones with those half step below approaches. Even when it takes you out of key chromatically, that's a good thing, as long as you resolve it straight away to the half step above. And again, for the C major 7 chord, we can precede any of the chord tones with a half step below. It works especially nicely at the changes. So when the chord changes, that half step below approach creates this nice chromatic sound. So half step below approach for the C major 7, approaching the major 3rd, which is E. So in today's improvisation tip of the day, we're going to look again at the half step below approach, but this time we're going to apply it to all 7 notes within the scale. So it works very well on the chord tones, the root, 3rd, 5th and 7th. We already looked at that. But we can actually apply this technique to any of the notes in the scale. So if we play a 2-5-1 in C major, D minor 7, G7, C major 7, we can play C major scale over all 3 chords. And what I want you to do is start applying this half step below approach to all 7 notes. So instead of just doing the chord tones, we could actually do the remaining notes as well. So E natural over D minor 7, we can always play this. So you can apply this half step below approach to any note in C major scale, and it sounds really sophisticated. You can also come up with patterns, so rather than just playing half step below, you can play the note above. so in today's tip, I'm going to show you an exotic new scale which you can use over the 5 chord of a 2-5-1. So we'll take a 2-5-1 in C major, we have D minor 7, G dominant 7, and C major 7. Now we can play C major scale over all 3 chords, like this, but we're actually going to change the scale over the 5 chord, which is G dominant 7, and I want you to play G diminished scale, which starts on G, goes half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step. It's a repeating pattern where you get the flat 9, the sharp 9, the major 3rd, the sharp 11, C sharp, natural 5th, and the 13th, and the 7th. And within these notes you can see the dominant 7 chord, G dominant 7, so it fits with the chord, and it gives you all of these nice altered notes, the sharp 9, flat 9, sharp 11, which then resolve nicely back into the scale of C major when we come back to the 1 chord. So C major scale for the 2 chord and the 1 chord, but for the 5 chord you can use some notes from G diminished scale. Here's how it sounds. Notes from C major scale, G diminished scale, back to C major scale. Creates this in, out, in sound. We start in the scale, go out with these flat 9, sharp 9, then you come back into scale. So in today's improvisation tip of the day, I want to show you how to add a triplet to each line. So if we're playing in swing time, most of your solos will be 8th notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But if you only play 8th notes, it's going to get predictable after a while. So a very simple way to give your rhythms variety is just to add a triplet to every line. So a triplet sounds like this. I'm starting on a triplet. And then you can go back to 8th notes. And the triplet can go anywhere. It can go at the beginning of the line, or it can go in the middle of the line. So you heard 1, 2, 3, 1. So that's a triplet. 1, 2, 3. Or you can play 2 triplets in a line. So I've got 3 triplets in that line. Now to go with this lesson, I'm giving away my 29 Jazz Licks sheet music. This is 5 pages of my best licks over the major 2-5-1, the minor 2-5-1, and to download it for free, just click on the link below or go to jazztutorial.com/licks.